leading the Ugandan delegation, and Mr. I hope I can pronounce your name correctly, Mr. Fela, Mr. Mwendandi, from Tanzania, leading the Tanzanian delegation, my colleagues from IOM, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Good morning. I'm really very, very pleased and honored to be here this morning. I remember it was, I think, about 2 years ago when we started this conversation. And I'm very happy to see that our chief guest that we are having this conversation again, having this technical working group discussion on transnational organized crime. As we did mention briefly, this is the first of its kind, where you have all the three government officials, the three countries coming together to discuss issues that are very important to us, because transnational organized crimes cannot be discussed or handled by one single country. So it's very important to have the three governments come together and discuss, but also beyond the three governments. I can see from the introduction this morning, we have colleagues from different ministries, from different departments, and that shows it's a demonstration of your commitment to address this challenge. Before getting more into my discussion, my remarks this morning, I would like to acknowledge the generous contribution of the US government, who are really funding this initiative. I don't think they managed to come, but they do appreciate the work that we are doing, and they acknowledge the fact that the contribution that they made really is making a very significant impact. But before, again, going ahead, I would like to appreciate the government of Kenya, your excellent leadership, and hosting us. The very first meeting that we had was being hosted by Kenya, and I think we've done rounds, and then again coming back to Kenya. And when this discussion started, it started with Kenya, not because Kenya is hosting me, and not because we are in Kenya now, but I think PS, with your insights and the conversation and the commitment to address this challenge, we see how you have led everybody, and now we are back here, and I'm sure there have been a lot of progress that we have achieved that would like to celebrate, would like to tap ourselves on the back. But it shouldn't just be the end of the achievement, but knowing that it is the beginning of what we would like to see differently. The time that you have invested, the ideas that you've put together, and of course with the support of our consultant who is now in our midst, I believe there are a lot of lessons learned that would like to build upon, and we don't just end here. Our dear chief guest, I wanted to highlight the fact that there are lots of achievements that have been made as far as this project is concerned, and I wanted to highlight a few for your kind consideration, and probably you will advise us on how we would like to move forward after this dialogue that is going to take place for 3 days here in Kenya. And one of the key components which I would like to acknowledge is the creation of this working group. It was a very, very fast initiative that was successfully established, a joint platform for discussing strategies to combat transnational organized crime, sharing information, and coordinating issues of common interest. And I would like to also note the fact that this initiative has demonstrated the coordination and cooperation on matters of mutual concern, which are very candid conversation, and I believe you all agree with me that you have had a time to sit and discuss issues that are affecting, the three countries, and you are all committed to making sure that whatever you have discussed and agreed upon doesn't just end there, but making sure that you hold each other accountable on what you have agreed upon. And I know there have also been another achievement, which is the completion of the regional assessment on integrated border governance. and transnational organized crime on Lake Victoria that provided a baseline for the key intervention under this program. In most cases, we get to implement things and sometimes just provide generic interventions. But to our chief guest today, just to mention that whatever has been implemented to date, whatever initiatives, whatever, including equipment that we are coming up with, have been informed by this assessment. So it's a tailored sort of initiative that the team has undertaken. So big congratulations to the leads from the different countries, but again, coming together, whatever is being done in Kenya, done in Uganda, and in Tanzania, somehow speaks to each other so that you have that commonality in terms of providing response. After the assessment, they've also had like the IT and infrastructure needs assessment for the selected points of entries, which have also been now completed. And the procurement and construction is actually going on in the 3 countries. We have also had some scheduled handovers which are upcoming up very soon, and hopefully I'll also be reaching out to you personally and see how we can move together and have some of these equipment and several other big items that have been purchased through this program for handover at different points of entries. In terms of capacity building, again, I would like to reiterate, the commitment from the teams. A lot of capacity building has been initiated. We will hear about that today from the team. Comprehensive training curriculum on maritime security, which was developed and delivered. And thanks again to our expert, Mr. Sinisa Andelik, that has really been very instrumental in offering and developing the curriculum, but of course with the input from all the team. So whatever has been developed in terms of the curriculum is not just dropping from outside the region, but rather input from the officials here, from their day-to-day challenges that they are facing. So whatever has been put together has been informed by the experiences of the experts that we have here in the house. Our expert has been helpful to put those ideas together. So thank you so much, and to all of you, a big congratulations. And finally, dear PS, I would like to mention that a critical component of this project, aims to strengthen the relationship between law enforcement and border communities around the lake. If the border communities are not informed, if they really don't know what are the red flags, what do we need to focus on, then it becomes a bit challenging to combat any of these transnational organized crimes, because they are there and they know what is happening and they know some strange faces that are coming in their communities. So it's very important that we link them up. They have a good relationship with law enforcement agencies, and this is what is being planned. So it's also very important that when they know what are the red flags, they are able to report, and this will be the focus of this initiative, to ensure that we build their capacity and they don't just fear the law enforcement agencies and run away from them, but rather get to them and offer the information, the surveillance that is needed to be able to put all these efforts on combating transnational organized crime. And a community perception survey has now been conducted in all participating countries. In Kenya, I would like to mention that officers have already been trained as trainers on how to engage with communities. In the coming month, we have a series of community engagement forums that will be organized in 3 countries to address the recommendation from the perception survey. I would like to welcome the East African community who have joined us, and really your continuous engagement, and the Lake Victoria Basin Commission into this regional working group. As I said, dear PS, this is the first of its kind. I don't think we have such a working group that has brought together all the different stakeholders. So I would like to challenge ourselves, challenge myself, And of course, as we have the head of internal security here, being the PS in Kenya, I would like to see how can we continue with this initiative. That is, if it is adding value. We don't want just to have platform for the sake of having platforms. We don't want to come together for the sake of coming together, but rather would like to come together to make a difference, to make an impact. So I want to see, maybe we take some, few steps back and see, are there some good lessons? Is it necessary to continue with this sort of initiative? And if it is, then we can continue and build upon some of those big gains that we have managed to achieve and be able to bring together all the different groups. And lastly, I would really want to express sincere thanks. Without the commitment of the technical teams and the heads of delegation of the different countries, I don't think would be where we are today. So I would really want to say big congratulations. Thank you for your commitment, for your time. Thank you again also, dear PS. Your presence here is a demonstration of the commitment that we would like to address these issues together, but not just as a single country, but collectively. And from our side as IOM, I would like to reiterate our commitment to continue working with you, to support the interest, the priorities of the government that we serve, and the people that we are serving, the people on the move, the communities that are affected, especially along the borders. I wish you fruitful deliberation for the 3 days. I believe the time that you are going to spend here will not be wasted. I usually challenge myself and said, okay, when we came to Mombasa, spent here 3 days, what did we do differently? Because your time is very precious. You're not going to gain this time again. So whatever you agreed on today, let's ensure that we implement. And several years down the road, we'll say, sure, I was in Mombasa on this day, it was worth it, and I've made a difference in my contribution as a government official, as an IOM. I'm also an international public, civil servant. So I'm not off the hook. We want to hold ourselves accountable to ensure that whatever we do, the time that we spend, we can account for it. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Madam Sharon. Let us appreciate her once again. It is now my honor to invite the heads of delegations to make their remarks, and I would like to invite our Kenyan head of delegation, Madam Evelyn Cheluget, the Director General for Immigration, Kenya, to please take the floor. Karibu, Madam.
Jamboni. Good morning, everyone. Mana PSA, Dr. Amolo, the BCOCC Chair, Mr. Nyaio, BMC, County Government, Bwana CC, Deputy IG, Madam Sharon, my fellow heads of delegation, and the delegation itself. Good morning. We are very delighted to have all of you here today. And for me, it's very nostalgic that we started this journey together, and here we are. Karibuni Kenya, na karibuni tena. I want to take this opportunity to most sincerely welcome each and every member that is here today. And we want to start by inviting my fellow heads of delegation. I will start with Marcelino. You can have the floor, come and give your speech. And I want all of you to feel very much welcome and feel at home. We are just starting a journey of going to be 3 days, 3 very impactful days. From our previous engagements, you know what it entails. And after 3 days, we are going to make a lot of resolutions, as Madam Sharon has said here. There are many decisions we must make, and we must justify our being here. There has to be value for money. And just to inform the delegates, we have our PS today here. Our PS is the chief guest. Our PS has been our supporter, and we must come up with resolutions that will convince him to be able to continue to work with us in this journey of curbing transnational crime within our region. We are so honored to host all of you, and we are so privileged to have our PS today. So without wasting much time, Mr. Marcelino, you're welcome.
That was a good surprise. Mr. PS, the heads of delegations, the delegations, all protocol observed. That's how we say it in Uganda when you are not sure of how the protocols are arranged. My name has already been said. And can the Ugandans raise your hands? Ugandans in the house, raise your hands. And one, Ugandans, raise your hands again. There is one Ugandan I also want to see. Madam Sharon is a Ugandan. East African. Of course, to be East African, you must come from somewhere. So, Mr. PS, I bring you greetings from my own PS, Lieutenant General Joseph Musanyufu, who actually was in Kenya a few days ago. We were working on the issues of the arid places. I also bring you greetings from my director, who would have loved to be here but couldn't, Major General Goa, and my Commissioner, Colonel Geoffrey Brian Cambere. I come from the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control, who have been both happy and blessed to be at the center of this project. On behalf of my team, I'd first of all wish to thank our hosts, the people of Kenya, for not only welcoming us exceptionally well from the time we arrived, but also for being trailblazers. You know, these things started in Kisumu. And for us, it is even I don't know, someone said nostalgic, but it's beyond. Because when we met in Kisumu, we were just commoners, but when we met again in Mwanza, my sister had become the director boss here. So I think this has been a good having for us. This project is very important for us because I think if there is anything that defines East Africa, it is the Lake Victoria. In the previous conferences, we have tried to explain what this lake is, but to summarize it, you will want to know that one of the largest concentrations of human habitation in East Africa is around Lake Victoria. And if there is the greatest export I think Africa makes to the world, it is the fresh water from this lake through the Mediterranean Sea, and of course it now links us to Mombasa. Mr. Chief Guest, we would like to thank the IOM, who has been at the center of this. So through you, Madam Sharon, thank you so very much. And through you once again, we would like to thank the US government for the sponsorship of this project. In the book of Oliver Twist, there's that young man who asked for more. This is the third year. Probably the project might be coming to the afternoon of its life, but I think we had better start asking for more because we are just beginning. We have been laying a foundation, but we see there is much more we can achieve, especially by coming together. Would like also to thank all the delegations, including our Tanzanian bosses, because now they are the chair, headed by my brother Ahmad, for the presence and also for the great time we had in Tanzania. Mr. PS, when we came to Kisumu, we were strangers, but now we know each other by name. And we have even developed good habits of having good time together. So we don't take that for granted, because when people are about to do a task, the first most important thing is coming together and then staying together. And that's when work begins. I would like also to wish to thank our chair, my brother Ahmed, for coming in and for leading us this far, because he's our boss. But also very importantly, for the report of our work and visit in Tanzania. When Sharon was enumerating the achievements so far, she said there are many. I just want to add one other very important one, which we have achieved, which is documentation. Like all things African, we didn't have a lot of well-documented information. One of the things I think we should pride in about this project is the ability to document. We have visited Kisumu, we visited Entebbe, we visited which other place? Mwanza. We have been able to document, researches have been carried out, community outreaches are being made. We have even done visits into the lake. We now know very many things about the lake. We don't only know, but we have been able to document them even for posterity. Mr. Chairman, I think this meeting, like Kenya has always done to trailblaze, is about consolidating the gains so far made. I'm very happy that my sister has mentioned about the curriculum. You will notice that there are many people here who work from police, others from immigration, others from fisheries. But of course, Tanzania and Kenya have large marine experience because part of the ocean. But for us, by the way, Mr. PS, Lake Victoria is the ocean of Uganda. So we want to learn a lot. Yes, Lake Victoria is the largest water body that Uganda has. Incidentally, for us, we pride in having, I think, the largest concentration of fresh water. But for you, you have a mix. You have salty and fresh water. So I don't know who is better off. But for us, for the record, Lake Victoria is Uganda's ocean. So we are looking forward to working together, especially to learn about the good practices that you have maybe from the coast, this one of Mombasa, to take back. Personally, I have interesting stories about Mombasa. A neighbor had a daughter who worked in Mombasa, but she actually didn't know how to pronounce it as Mombasa. She called it Mombasa. So she used to tell us a lot of stories about Mombasa. I always wondered, how did this old woman come to go to Mombasa? I only learned later that the daughter was working with the Coffee Marketing Authority. That's how she came here. So we have come, we have mingled with the Swahili, we have visited the beach, and we now see that actually there is a lot we can learn from the experiences of the ocean people with the lake people. One thing I would like to thank to the organizers of this meeting is the presence of the East African community. The East African community is the glue that should be holding us together. In Entebbe, and I think in Mwanza, we had people from the Lake Victoria Basin something organization. But I think the presence of the East African community, you cannot have East Africa complete without looking at Lake Victoria. And like as I've said, if the largest concentration of human beings is around this lake, definitely the work of the EAC is also centered around that lake. So my team and I are eagerly looking forward to see how we can work even more with these community members to make sure that we deliver even better results. Mr. PS, being the first speaker, I have to be reasonable and leave some material for my to talk about. But I have a lot of expectations together with my group. We normally do field visits. We normally have discussion groups. We normally have presentations. But we normally also have good food. And I have no doubt my sister, I've already seen. I've already seen. I'm looking forward to having great time, learning and collaborating with all these great people. And all of this we do for the better glory of God and for the good of our countries and our peoples. I thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
It is now my honor and pleasure to invite the chairperson for the regional working group, and who is also the head of delegation for the United Republic of Tanzania, Mr. Ahmed. It's your time, sir. And as you come, I just want to assure you that Marcelino, you'll not be disappointed. Trust me. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Madam Evelyn Cherugeti. Chief Guest, Principal Secretary, State Department for Internal Security and the National Administration. I'm also told that you are chairperson, for the Board Control and Operation Coordinating Committee. Honorable and also Afande Dr. Raymond Omoro, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Masengeli, my brother Kenneth, Chief of Mission, IOM Kenya, Madam Sharon, once again Director General heading the Directorate of Immigration Services, Madam Evelyn Cherugeti, Head of Delegation of Uganda, my brother, Assistant Commissioner Marcelino, distinguished delegates, our distinguished invited guests from the East Africa community, but also from the Lake Victoria Basin, and also we have subject matter experts, Mr. Sinisa, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Habari za asubuhi. Our chief guest of honor. Actually, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I understand, and this is the reality, how busy you are at knowing the post that you are heading, but despite all the tight schedule that you have, you decided to give our invitation, and you are with us today this morning. Our chief guest, in Tanzania, I remember when we had the third regional working group meeting, we tried our level best to invite the minister responsible for Home Affairs, but it failed. We also invited the principal secretary for Ministry of Home Affairs. Again, it failed. And finally, we had to invite the regional commissioner of Mwanza. But it was just because they, every now and then you find that the president may convene a meeting, and when that happens, then it overrides all other invitations to the research officers. And that's what happened in Tanzania. Our chief guest, first of all, on behalf of my delegation and the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, I take this opportunity to extend our sincere appreciation to the government of Kenya, and in particular, the delegation of Kenya present here, for their positive cooperation even before we came here. We started communicating in terms of logistics for our accommodation. They were very, very positive. But of importance is actually the warm reception that we received yesterday when we arrived at the airport. The reception was actually superb. I have also been informed by some of my team members who had the privilege to attend the training on maritime security in Kisumu. They told me that the same hospitality was equally extended to them throughout their stay in Kisumu. Thank you so much. And in this regard, actually this is one of the positive traditional cultures that we brothers and sisters sitting in this room, we should retain, we should cherish, regardless of all the costs that are involved. It's good, and that makes us one, as indeed one family. Our guest of honor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, again on behalf of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the U.S. government through the Bureau of International Narcotics and the Law Enforcement Affairs for funding this project titled Countering Transnational Threats along Lake Victoria by enhancing border security capacities and the coordination between the authorities in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. The significance of the project to the three sister countries cannot be overemphasized, as it complements of the project to the three sister it complements to the various initiatives already in place governments with the same goals. That is to say, to enhance border security capacities and coordination among our law enforcement authorities of the respective states, to effectively combat transnational organized crime along Lake Victoria and beyond. Our chief guest, the role of the International Organization for Migration is very significant in this process. All members of the regional working group present here are key witnesses. Apart from its role as a secretariat of the project, but its guidance to the teams of the member states is critical to the attainment of the outcomes of the project. In that note, and on behalf of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, we are very thankful for the technical guidance from IOM Regional Office in Nairobi and the IOM Tanzania in particular, for being close to us throughout the implementation of the project activities. And I wish this spirit to continue until the end of the lifespan of the project in question. Chief guest, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania was trusted by the members of the regional working group, I mean the delegates present here, but also the secretariat, in this case the IOM and the donor, to hold the third regional working group meeting. The meeting indeed was held on the 21st and up to 23rd May 2024. And one of the recommendations of the meeting was that each country to convene a high-level meeting at country level so that the senior leaders of most of the coming from from the departments which are the stakeholders of this project to attend so that they can be briefed of the status of the project in terms of implementation. On behalf of my delegation, I am glad to say that we were able to convene the meeting, and in this regard, the current meeting now, that's the fourth regional working group here, held here in Mombasa, will be briefed of the deliberations by our senior leaders. Of importance, our leaders expressed their sincere appreciation to this initiative, which actually intends, as I said earlier, to complement government efforts of the three countries in terms of countering transnational organized crime happening within and along Lake Victoria. And on behalf of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, the leaders said that the government of Tanzania is committed to work together with Uganda and also the government of Kenya in this process to make sure that there is free movement of our people within Lake Victoria. And also their message is that while we are almost coming to an end of this project, they actually asked the delegates of the regional working group to consider on how the countries can sustain this project even after it ends. Therefore, our recommendations from the meeting that we'll discuss for the 3 days from today, one of the issues should be to see the possibility on how the three countries can contribute to the sustainability of the project. Our chief guest, as I conclude, one of the critical roles of the members of the regional working group, especially when they have this kind of meeting, is to receive updates on the status of the implementation of the project activities. Apart from that, they also discuss the challenges involved in the implementation, and finally also see the possibility on how they can mitigate the challenges. But they also meet for purposes of sharing information on the emerging issues within and along Lake Victoria, despite the fact that we are already on the ground trying to lay down strategies on how we can counter transnational organized crimes. But you know, the traffickers or the criminals, they are also thinking on how they can evade from being seen by the law enforcement officers. And lastly, we meet for the purposes on sharing information on other similar government initiatives established at country level, but also we understand there are already initiatives at the regional level, which means the three countries have already initiatives that are already in place, directed to the maintenance of peace and security within Lake Victoria for the betterment of the people of the three countries. Our chief guest, Afande Raymond, naomba nikushukuru sana kwa mwaliko huu, na nichukue nafasi hii sasa to welcome the director who will say a few things and finally invite you to give your speech. Thank you so much. Asanteni kwa kunisikiliza.
Thank you so much. Once again, all protocols observed. Distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, honorable members and guests, I'm delighted to be among the participants this fourth edition of the Regional Working Meeting on the countering transnational threats on Lake Victoria by enhancing border security capacities and coordination. As we gather here today, we are reminded of the critical importance of our mission to strengthen the capacities of border authorities in Kenya, Uganda, and the United Republic of Tanzania to be able to detect and deter transnational organized crimes in Lake Victoria sub-region. This project underscores the shared commitment of our nations to uphold security and stability in our region. Since the inception of this exercise in November 2022, we have made significant strides in achieving our desired outcomes. Through effective coordination among Kenyan, Tanzanian, and Ugandan border authorities, we have been able to enhance information sharing, we have conducted joint patrols, and we have addressed issues related to transnational organized crime and trade facilitation at Lake Victoria ports. The formation of this working group has been instrumental in guiding the execution of our project, ensuring alignment with national and regional priorities. I commend the dedication and expertise of these members from each participating nation, that is the Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, for their invaluable contributions and their commitment towards partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Kenya government, we value partnerships and firmly believe that collaborations are the bedrock of success in the different projects that we have undertaken. To buttress this, Kenya has worked closely with the International Organization for Migration since the establishment of the Border Control and Operations Coordination Committee, that is the BCOCC, and the Border Management Secretariat, that is the BMS, particularly in facilitation of legitimate trade and safe mobility by ensuring that our borders are more secure. The Directorate of Immigration Services and the Kenya Coast Guard Services have also continuously worked with the IOM and the US Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement in Kenya. These collaborations with international development partners have aided the BCOCC in achieving our core mandate, which is the enhancement of legitimate trade and travel in a secure environment at all our ports of entry and exits on land, air, and sea. We do this through coordinated border management, that is the CBM, at both the national level and all our ports of entry. At the national level, it's done by convening the BCOCC meetings. This brings on board all ministries, departments, and all agencies with border functions to deliberate on all matters of border management. Thus, the BCOCC, which is chaired by the Principal Secretary, who is our chief guest today, and we are honored to have you, sir, and is domiciled in the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, has been a critical organ as it provides leadership and policy direction on the border management. At the ports of entry, the coordinated border management is achieved through border management committees, those are the BMCs, and the joint operation centers, the JOCs. Cooperation also made the inaugural National Border Management Conference in April this year possible. Throughout the conference, stakeholders from various countries, including Uganda and Tanzania, exhibited remarkable commitment and enthusiasm towards bolstering border security and managing transnational threats effectively. The conference provided a platform for fruitful discussions, knowledge sharing, and strategic planning, resulting in concrete action plans to address key challenges. So as we convene here today, these 3 days, we have a unique opportunity to build upon the progress we have achieved throughout the many projects that we have worked on together and to chart a course for the future. Therefore, I urge each of you to engage actively in our discussions, to share your insights and experiences, and to collaborate very closely. May our deliberations be fruitful, and may our efforts bring us closer to realizing the brighter future as we deliberate on the issues in these 3 days. PS, sir, we want to appreciate you so much, and we wish that you could spend more time with us, but we know, sir, that you're very busy. And with the team that you came with, we want to say thank you so much. Our PS being here shows the level of commitment that Kenya has on collaboration and on working on issues concerning the region. Thank you, sir. You have made us proud.
Another round of applause for our heads of delegations. I thank you very much, Madam Cheluget. Our chief guest, sir, I will exit the floor briefly and hand over the microphone to my boss, Mr. Nyayo, who will now carry on. Thank you, sir.
Asante sana. Naomba kuwasalimu wadau wa mjambo. Hamjambo. Sir, thank you so much. I know it has not been very easy to get you to be here because of your busy schedule. But let me confirm that we are happy that you are here for the shortest time possible. Our chief guest, who is our PS and also the chair BCOCC. You remember when we were in Mwanza, I mentioned about a coordinated border management, BCOCC. He is the chair. And our chief of mission, Daktari Sharon. Asante. Asante kwa kupata nafasi pia. Our heads of delegation, my brother Marcelino from Uganda, Ahmed from Tanzania, and my own sister Evelyn. Asante sana, asante sana. Our deputy inspector general, my brother Masengeli, asante sana kwa kupata nafasi pia. And ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Kazi yangu ni rahisi sana ya kumwalika mgeni wetu aweze kutuzungumzia. I know there's another meeting he has to attend. Therefore, I don't want to take any more time other than to request him to come and speak to us. Kindly, shall we be upstanding, please? And welcome him with a round of applause. Karibu, karibu, karibu sana. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana Nyayo. We may be seated. To the heads of the delegations, my brother Marcelino, heading the delegation from Uganda, and brother Ahmad Mwendandi, who also happens to be the chair of the entire working group, leading the delegation from Tanzania, my sister Evelyn, who is heading the Kenyan delegation, but also who is the Director General in charge of immigration. My sister, Madam Dimanche, who is the Chief of Mission for IOM. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Masengeli. the county commissioner for Mombasa County, who is representing the regional commissioner for Coast Region. She is held up in another meeting that we are going to. Mr. Nyayo, who is the secretary for BMS, the Border Management Secretariat. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. I'm excited to be here, not just because Kenya is hosting this important meeting, but to have an opportunity to engage and also encourage all the delegates from our 3 countries, together with the Secretariat team from the East African Community, the team from the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, team from IOM led by the Chief of Mission, as well as the experts who have been very instrumental in supporting and being part of this program. For this is year 3, if I got it right. And it's interesting that we are discussing about transnational and organized crime in Lake Victoria, but we are in an ocean, next to the ocean. And I liked what my brother from Uganda was saying, that they have the lake, we have the lake plus the ocean. They have the fresh water, we have the fresh water plus the salty water. And I think it's not a mistake that we are in Mombasa today and for the next 2-3 days to discuss matters with Lake Victoria. And the fact that we began in Kisumu, then went to Entebbe, and lastly to Mwanza, and now we are in Mombasa. I'm sure the next meetings in Uganda, I'm not sure which lake we will, which ocean we'll go to, but for Tanzania, most likely we'll be in Dar at the next engagement. But then listening to Sharon and the heads of the delegations, I must admit that there's a lot that has gone into getting us to where we are. And your chair says when this engagement began, people didn't know each other. Now, 3 years down the line, there's a very good chemistry that has been created over the years based on the interactions, and a lot has also been achieved. Madam Sharon was very explicit in her explanation of some of the things that we have been able to achieve over the years. And her parting shot was based on that, we need to ask ourselves whether it's critical to or important to continue in the same trajectory, because this program is time bound. And our friend quoted, I don't know whether it's an American or something, but then we are definitely asking we have got to a point where we feel we need to still do more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I welcome all of you to Mombasa for the 4th Regional Working Group meeting, and the establishment of the Regional Working Group, consisting of officers from the key border agencies in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania represented here, has played a pivotal role in advancing our regional security and cooperation. Your dedication has ensured that our initiatives remain aligned with both national and regional priorities. And for this, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you. And with the presence of the East African Community Secretariat with us in this workshop, I have no doubt that what we are doing must find its way at the core of the operations of the East African community. Today we stand at a critical juncture in our joint efforts to safeguard Lake Victoria and its surrounding regions. We spoke about the communities around the lake. Now this 69,484 square meter body of water shared by our three nations has long been a vital source of life, commerce and cultural exchange. Yet it has also presented us with significant challenges that require our collective focus and action. For years we have grappled with issues caused by limited coordination and collaboration between our border security and control authorities. This lack of synchronization has left us vulnerable to cross-border crimes. It has also hindered our ability to combat misinformation and at times led to conflicts between agencies and communities. More so, inadequate surveillance of the lake, limited rescue capabilities have put lives at risk during emergencies. And I'm aware that through this engagement and program, there's a lot of infrastructural development that is going on around the lake, increasing and improving the capabilities, particularly on search and rescue, as well as information sharing. I know when we are faced with challenges around crime in whichever space, and more so when you think about it within the lake, there is the urge for us to increase the presence of our security agencies. Whereas this is very good, but I think we need to be careful as a community that we do not go overboard in terms of militarizing our activities or having too much presence of our security agencies within the lake, because we are basically one people. And with this kind of engagement, we have an opportunity to collaborate better and coordinate more, so that when we have the presence of our security forces, it should be at a minimum. Otherwise, we risk having a challenge with the communities whose livelihood depends on the lake, seeing us as being more intruders as opposed to those who are supposed to be supporting them. Now, recognizing these critical gaps, we embarked on this ambitious 3-year project aimed at countering transnational organized crime, with a clear mission to strengthen the capabilities of our border authorities to detect and deter such crimes in Lake Victoria sub-region. We also committed to improving among border authorities, enhancing port management, and fostering stronger engagement between border communities and the authorities to effectively deter transnational crime. And I've seen we have representation from various port authorities from across the region. And by being in Mombasa, I'm sure that as part of the program, we'll also have an opportunity to see what happens at the Mombasa port in terms of how they're operating, dealing with crime, but also facilitating trade. We'll also have an opportunity to also visit the Kenya Coast Guard service and also get to appreciate what they are doing. Our journey thus far has already been marked by several significant milestones. In Kisumu, we began crucial discussions on border governance, institutions, and the regulatory framework. In Entebbe, we validated the assessment reports and made the strategic decision to invite the East African community to join in our efforts. And most recently, in Mwanza, we focused on building the capacities of our border authorities through the provision of equipment and comprehensive training program. Additionally, we have conducted maritime security training for 24 Kenyan officers, enabling them to train others. And we've provided 55 immigration officers with the expertise in document examination, fraud detection, and behavioral analysis. Furthermore, 30 officers from our Transnational Organized Crime Unit have received specialized training to strengthen our defense against sophisticated criminal networks. These initiatives would not have been possible without the support of the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement and the expertise from the International Organization for Migration, to whom we extend our sincere gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look to the future, several key initiatives are already underway. One is the joint maritime training, which is currently taking place in Kisumu, with officers from all the 3 countries participating. The refurbishment and equipping of the Kisumu Port Joint Operations Center, which marks a crucial step towards improving coordination and information sharing. Additionally, as a country, we're in the process of acquiring patrol vehicles for our Directorate of Immigration Services, which will significantly enhance mobility and response capabilities. While we have made considerable progress, much work remains, and I want to encourage all of us to support the implementation of key recommendations from our regional assessments on transnational organized crime and border governance on Lake Victoria. These insights will be essential in shaping our future strategies. In this spirit, I would wish to propose several recommendations for our collective considerations as part of this workshop by the working group. One would be that we need to look at the possibility of establishment of a regional maritime rescue coordination center for the lake, and these centers would be crucial hubs for coordinating information sharing, rescue operations, and efforts to counter transnational crime, or CAB. Number 2 is the harmonization of fishing regulations and law enforcement frameworks across our 3 nations, Kenya, Uganda, and the United Republic of Tanzania. A unified approach will close regulatory loopholes and enhance our collective response to security challenges and sustainable use of the resources within the lake. And we've had a number of cases where fishermen from the different countries have had problems with the law enforcement officers. And I think we have an opportunity to try and address that gap so that we make it easy, not just for the communities who depend on the lake, but also for the friendly relationships that we have as East African community. Number 3 is the expansion of the joint training programs for frontline officials from all the 3 countries, fostering shared understanding and building a relationship crucial for effective cross-border cooperation. We need to go beyond the delegates and the team within this room so that we bring as many of our officers, particularly from the ministries and agencies within the 3 governments. Number 4 is the implementation of recommendations to counter transnational organized crime, including the gazettement of more ports of entry and fish landing sites. On the Kenyan side, we are embarking on an ambitious program of setting up several fish landing sites on the Kenyan side of Lake Victoria. And this is part of a much broader program we are having on the exploitation of the resources within the blue economy ecosystem. And I think it's something that we need to encourage across our 3 nations, because we are definitely not fully utilizing the potential that the lake presents to us. And then lastly, number 5 is the incorporation of community perception insights into our security strategies, as understanding the views and needs of the border communities is critical in building the trust and the partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on these next steps, I am optimistic that while the challenges we face are significant, so too is our resolve, and by working together, sharing information and coordinating our efforts, we are creating a safer, more secure Lake Victoria region for all our citizens. To our colleagues from Uganda and Tanzania, I want to thank you for your partnership and commitment towards this shared vision. And together we are proving that the challenges of the transnational crime can be effectively addressed through cross-border cooperation. And as we begin this 4th regional working group meeting, let us approach our discussions with open minds, innovative ideas, and a firm commitment to our shared goals. The security of Lake Victoria, the well-being of our border communities, and the prosperity of our nations depend on the decisions we make and the actions that we take. Mombasa is a very beautiful city, and the people are very hospitable. The food is on another level. I'm yet to experience anything close to it anywhere in the region, and we want to warmly welcome you to enjoy and sample the beauty of the city as we work on this important assignment. And at the end of the day, we must have serious takeaway points, share our experiences, and with the partnership we are having with IOM and other international partners who are supporting this program, it is my expectation that we are going to scale up this. We are done with the morning, we're in the afternoon of this program, so we still have a long way to go because we are yet even to get to the evening. So I'm looking forward to you having very fruitful engagements that will take our three nations to the next level insofar as the utility and the containment of crime in the lake is concerned. Asanteni sana, and I now want to officially declare this workshop open. Thank you.
Once more, another round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Now we are done with the first session. We have delegations from our three countries that surround the lake or that share Lake Victoria. That is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So we have a very big delegation. Now it's the fourth technical working group meeting, meaning that we've had three other meetings. The first one was held in Kisumu, followed by Entebbe in Uganda, then Mwanza, and now we are back in Kenya and we are doing it in Mombasa. And the focus for this meeting, which is being supported by International Organization on Migration, is that we are looking at how to address the gaps and the concerns that exist within the lake in terms of transnational organized crime. So we are looking at how to coordinate better, how to build capacities, how to have a common understanding with the communities around the lake, and also who benefit from the use of the lake, on how to better manage those resources, while at the same time trying to minimize or eradicate crime that we know is common in the lake. Now, from this workshop, which will take the next 3 days, the teams are going to take stock of some of the developments that have happened over the 3 years when this program has been running, and also to look into how to take forward the positive lessons, as well as to also have an opportunity to visit parts of Mombasa County that are involved in similar activities. So there will be engagement and visit at the Kenya ports together with the Kenya Coast Guard Service, but also engagement with the law enforcement agencies. Now the delegation here are from various ministries and agencies across the three governments. So we are expecting a lot of positive output from this working group workshop, and we are looking forward to implementing the agreed points or the takeaways from this interaction. Thank you.
Bwana PS, you outlined 5 recommendations during the presentation.
Yes.
Mimi naomba kwa Kiswahili tu in a nutshell, because Tanzania is one of the countries napenda kuelewa what of East Africa kwa Kiswahili.
So kwa Kiswahili nitajaribu. Yes. So kuna mambo mengi tunataka tushughulikie kwa hii workshop, na mojawapo ni ile agencies zenye zinahusika zikuwe na uhusiano mzuri ya kufanya kazi kwa pamoja. Ya pili ni kuzingatia yale mambo yenye tumepata kushughulikia kwa miaka mitatu yenye hii program imekuwa ikiendelea, ili kwa hayo mambo zenye zilikuwa zinawapatia changamoto watueleze ni vipi tutaweza kuzitatua, na tukizingatia kwa kuenda mbele na hii program ni vipi tutahusisha watu zaidi, haswa wenyeji wenye wanaishi kwa hii ziwa Victoria ama wenye wanafaidika kwa mambo ya uvuvi, mambo ya safiri na mambo ya biashara kwa jumla. Na la mwisho ni mambo ya crime ama vitu zenye zinafanya watu ama wenye hawapendi wengine kufurahia ama kuchangia kutumia ama kwa matumizi ya hii ziwa Victoria. Ni vipi tutawashughulikia, ni vipi tutawasiliana na mapolisi au maofisa wa serikali kutatua hizo shida. Asante.
In terms of the collaboration between the Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, in what ways are you going to implement these specifics in order to come around? Because we understand each and every country has its own sharias.
Yes. So as part of the collaboration, you may have noticed that among the team that is here, we have the team from the EAC Secretariat, the East African Community Secretariat, which is the anchor body that puts together the member states of the East African community. And the whole point of having them as part of these deliberations is that some of the agreed action points be carried forward for implementation and follow-up by the East African community. Thank you.
Swali la mwisho, kuna mitihani ya kitaifa inakaribia. The other day we saw some candidates being moved from Boni Forest to Mokowe. Maybe this time around, what measures are put in place to ensure that hawa wanafunzi hasa watahiniwa wanafanya mtihani bila kuwa na tofauti ya kiusalama, especially in places like Lamu County kwa Kiswahili?
So sitaki kuzungumzia mambo ya mtihani kwa leo, lakini cha muhimu ni kwamba kuna waafisa wa elimu na waafisa wa usalama ambao wanashughulikia hiyo mambo ya mtihani, na tunatarajia hiyo wakati ikifika watoto wetu watakuwa na nafasi nzuri ama hewa mzuri ya kufanya mtihani. Asante.
We just have one more question for DJ Cheluget. DJ Cheluget, there is a lady here who would love to ask you a question.
Just one question, yeah. Okay.
What specific measures will the Directorate of Migration take to coordinate, to strengthen coordination between Kenya and Uganda? Maybe what specific measures?
I think maybe before the DG speaks, already we have a very good collaboration in terms of working together, not just with Tanzania or just with Uganda, but within the context of the East African community. And whenever there are challenges or concerns from each of the states, then there's a mechanism of dealing with it under the framework of the East African community. I don't I'm not sure if there is a specific concern that we are dealing with at the moment, but what has happened over time is that every time there's a challenge, whether it's issues to do with trade, issues to do with the movement of people, there are channels of addressing those concerns. Yeah. That's it. Asante sana.